Picture this, you're sipping a pint in a centuries-old pub when the air turns icy. The glass slides across the table, on its own. A whisper curls past your ear, but no one's there. From Kirstens to phantom smugglers, the UK's most haunted bars don't just serve spirits, they're infested with them. Tonight, we're counting down 10 bone-chilling pubs where the dead are still drinking. Lock your doors, turn up the volume, and pray you never hear a ghost order around, because some of these places, they'll make you believe. Let's dive in, if you dare. Love spooky stories? Help us hit 1,000 subscribers before September 1st, 2025. Hit that subscribe button, because the more ghosts we hunt, the fewer haunt your feed. 1. The Ancient Ram Inn, Watton, Underage, England. The Ancient Ram Inn in Watton, Underage is no ordinary pub, it's a place where the past refuses to stay buried. Built in 1145, this creaking, timber-framed inn has seen centuries of dark history, from pagan sacrifices to violent murders, and its restless spirits make sure visitors never forget it. Locals whisper of a malevolent energy that lingers in its crooked hallways, where shadowy figures dart just out of sight and disembodied whispers slither through the air. The most infamous ghost is a murdered young girl, her presence so chilling that even hardened paranormal investigators have fled in terror. Others speak of a demonic entity in the bishop's room, where beds shake on their own and unseen hands clutch at throats. Former owner John Humphreys spent decades documenting the hauntings, claiming the inn was built on an ancient burial ground, a theory that might explain why so many spirits cling to the place. Guests report sudden temperature drops, objects moving on their own, and the overwhelming sense of being watched. Some have even been pushed or scratched by invisible forces. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the Ancient Ram Inn doesn't care, it will make a believer out of you. With its oppressive atmosphere and relentless paranormal activity, this isn't just one of Britain's most haunted pubs, it's a place where the dead still walk. And they don't always welcome the living. 2. The Jamaica Inn, Cornwall, England. Tucked into the bleak, mist-swept moors of Cornwall, the Jamaica Inn has been a refuge for the living and the dead since 1750. Made infamous by Daphne du Maurier's Gothic novel, this smuggler's haunt carries more than just tales of bootleg rum, it's a place where the past lingers like the scent of salt and damp wood. The inn's dark history is etched into its very walls, with stories of shipwrecks, murders, and the desperate souls who sought shelter here, only to never leave. Guests and staff report eerie footsteps pacing empty hallways, shadowy figures vanishing around corners, and the ghostly wail of a woman in white, believed to be the spirit of a murdered traveler. Some say the old stable yard is still haunted by the phantom clatter of hooves, as if smugglers are making their midnight escape. Others swear they've felt an unseen presence sitting at the bar, only to turn and find no one there. The inn's infamous murder room is said to be the most active, with visitors waking to the sensation of hands pressing down on their chests. Whether it's the residual energy of violent history or something more supernatural, the Jamaica Inn doesn't just tell ghost stories, it lives them. Even skeptics leave unnerved, as if the inn itself refuses to let its secrets fade. After dark, when the wind howls across Bodmin Moor, it's easy to believe the dead are still drinking alongside the living. 3. The Scurid Mountain Inn, Wales. Perched in the shadow of the brooding Scurid Mountain, the Scurid Mountain Inn wears its haunted reputation like a well-weathered cloak. Dating back over 900 years, this ancient Welsh pub has served as a courthouse, a battleground, and a resting place for souls denied peace. Its most chilling claim: a noose still dangles from the oak beam where criminals were once hanged, and some say the condemned never left. Visitors speak of an oppressive heaviness near the staircase, where the air grows icy and breath comes short, as if unseen hands still tighten a rope. Others report the ghost of Judge Jeffreys, the infamous hanging judge, glowering from dark corners, his spectral presence radiating malice. But it's not just the echoes of the gallows that linger. A woman's mournful sobs drift from empty rooms, believed to be a heartbroken barmaid who took her own life. Glasses shatter untouched, footsteps echo in locked chambers, and the scent of pipe tobacco, unlit for centuries, wafts through the air. The inn's owner once fled his own cellar after a force hurled barrels at him, only to find the room deathly still upon return. Even the local vicar refused to stay overnight after encountering a malevolent shadow slithering up the stairs. The Scurid doesn't just whisper its history, it screams it. Whether it's the residual anguish of the hanged or something darker clinging to the stones, one thing's certain, this is a place where the past doesn't sleep. It watches. And sometimes, it pulls. For the Mermaid Inn, Rye, England. Nestled in the medieval heart of Rye, the Mermaid Inn wears its haunted history like a time-worn tapestry, woven with threads of smugglers' secrets and restless spirits. Dating back to 1156, this creaking, timber-framed inn has seen everything from clandestine meetings of the notorious Hawkhurst gang to violent murders, and not all the participants have left. The most infamous ghost is a lady in white, believed to be the spirit of a young woman strangled in room 16, where guests still report waking to the sensation of invisible hands gripping their throats. Others have seen her drifting through the hallways, her bare feet leaving damp footprints on the wooden floors before vanishing into the walls. Down in the shadowy depths of the smugglers' tunnels, phantom laughter and the clink of glasses echo long after closing time. Bar staff swear they've served ale to figures in period dress who disappear when glanced at twice. The Elizabethan room is particularly active, with chairs sliding across the floor unaided and the distinct smell of pipe tobacco lingering where no one smokes. One former manager refused to sleep on site after encountering a spectral figure sitting at the foot of his bed, its hollow eyes watching him through the night. The Mermaid doesn't just boast about its ghosts, it delivers them. Whether it's the residual energy of centuries of treachery or souls trapped between worlds, the inn thrums with a presence that defies explanation. By midnight, when the wind rattles the diamond-pane windows, you might just hear the whispers of the past, or find an uninvited guest staring back from the mirror. 5. The Golden Fleece, York, England. The Golden Fleece in York wears its haunted reputation like a bloodstain that won't scrub clean. Squeezed among the snickelways of the shambles, this 16th-century tavern is considered Britain's most haunted pub, a title earned through centuries of violent deaths and restless spirits. The most notorious ghost is Lady Alice Peckett, the stern-faced former landlady who still patrols the upper floors in her rustling skirts, her icy glare sending chills down the spines of those who dare meet her gaze. But she's not alone. The spectral figure of a Canadian airman, who fell, or was pushed, from an upper window during World War II, lingers near the bar, his phantom cigarette smoke curling in empty corners. Down in the cellar, where the air hangs thick with the scent of damp and something darker, workers tell of a malevolent presence that tugs at clothes and whispers obscenities in the dark. Some believe it's the ghost of George Hemingway, a murdered businessman whose body was allegedly hidden beneath the floorboards. Guests in room 4 report waking to the sensation of an unseen weight pressing down on their chests, while others have watched in horror as their reflection in the mirror continues moving after they've stopped. Even the pub cat, a no-nonsense tabby, has been seen hissing at thin air before bolting upstairs in terror. The Golden Fleece doesn't just host spirits, it thrives on them. Whether it's the residual echoes of long-ago violence or something more sentient clinging to the crooked walls, one thing's certain, in this pub, you're never drinking alone. The dead keep their stools warm. 6. The Spaniards Inn, London, England. The Spaniards Inn, perched on the edge of London's Hampstead Heath, has been serving spirits of both the liquid and spectral variety since 1585. His creaking Tudor tavern, where Dickens and Keats once drank, now plays host to patrons who never settled their tab, because they've been dead for centuries. The most famous ghost is highwayman Dick Turpin, who allegedly used the inn as a hideout. His phantom has been seen peering through windows, his face a pale smudge in the moonlight, before vanishing into the hedgerows where he once tethered his horse. But Turpin isn't the only restless soul here. A heartbroken young woman named Rosamond, said to have died waiting for a lover who never returned, drifts through the upper rooms, her floral perfume lingering long after she's faded from view. The old Inglenook fireplace crackles with more than just logs. Staff have reported seeing shadowy figures huddled around its flames, their whispers lost beneath the murmur of living drinkers. In the cellar, where the air tastes of earth and old wine, something far less friendly makes its presence known. Barrels roll on their own, and a growling voice once answered a bartender's casual greeting when no one was there. Even skeptics raise an eyebrow at the piano that plays a few mournful notes by itself, usually when the pub falls silent. The Spaniards Inn doesn't just trade in ghost stories, it serves them with every pint. Whether it's the echoes of rowdy 18th century revels or souls trapped by unfinished business, one thing's clear: this is a place where the past never really dies. It simply waits for last orders. 7. The Drovers Inn, Lachland, Scotland. The Drovers Inn, crouched at the wild edge of Loch Lomond since 1705, doesn't just welcome travelers, it collects them. Some say permanently. Stepping through its heavy oak door is like walking into a time warp, where the smell of peat smoke and centuries of spilled whiskey cling to the walls, and the faces in the oil painting seem to follow you with their eyes. The most infamous resident ghost is a little girl, her bare feet leaving wet footprints on the stairs as she searches for her parents, drowned, locals whisper, when their carriage plunged into the loch centuries ago. Guests sleeping in room 6 report waking to the sound of a child sobbing, only to find the room empty, the sheets beside them inexplicably damp. But she's not the only spirit haunting this place. A towering Highlander, his face obscured by shadow, has been seen standing at the end of the bar, his presence marked by a sudden drop in temperature and the faint scent of blood. Others speak of a phantom black dog that materializes near the fireplace, its eyes glowing red before it vanishes through solid stone. The cellar, accessible only by a rusted iron gate, is the domain of something far less human. Staff refuse to enter after dark, citing the sensation of being watched and the sound of nails scraping against ale casks. The Drovers doesn't cater to the faint-hearted. With its creaking floorboards and whispers in dead languages, it's a place where history doesn't stay politely in the past. Here, the dead are just another part of the crowd, and they don't always appreciate the living. 8. The Red Lion, Avebury, England. The Red Lion in Avebury doesn't just sit near ancient stone circles, it's built on something far older. This 17th century inn, crouched in the shadow of Neolithic standing stones, pulses with an energy that predates history itself. Landlords whisper that the pub's foundations cut straight through an old pagan burial site, and the dead here have never quite accepted their eviction. The most persistent ghost is Flory, a barmaid who hanged herself in the attic after a doomed love affair. Her presence lingers strongest in room 3, where guests report the sensation of cold fingers brushing their cheeks at night, accompanied by the faint smell of lavender and rope fibers. Others have woken to find the silhouette of a woman swaying gently from the ceiling, only for the vision to dissolve into moonlight. But Flory isn't alone. The sound of children giggling echoes near the Inglenook fireplace, though no youngsters are ever present. A phantom monk has been seen gliding through the beer garden, his face obscured by shadows even in broad daylight. The cellar is the domain of something far less human, a presence so dense that even brewery delivery men refuse to enter without backup, citing the feeling of being watched from the darkness between the casks. The Red Lion doesn't just flirt with the supernatural, it's married to it. Whether it's the residual energy of pagan rituals or souls tethered to tragic ends, one thing's certain: in this ancient inn, the veil between worlds is tissue thin. By last orders, you might find yourself drinking with companions who left this world centuries ago, and who have no intention of leaving again. 9. The Banshee Labyrinth, Edinburgh, Scotland. The Banshee Labyrinth in Edinburgh earns its name. This isn't just a pub, but a warren of underground vaults where the air itself seems to hum with centuries of trapped energy. Built into the city's infamous South Bridge vaults, a network of 18th-century chambers once used by smugglers, body snatchers, and worse, the bar's very stones seem to sweat with residual anguish. Patrons report sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature as they descend into the maze-like space, their breath visible in air that shouldn't be cold. The most frequently encountered spirit is a gaunt figure in tattered 19th-century clothing, seen shuffling near the whiskey barrels before vanishing through a wall that once led to the mortuary next door. Others speak of a wailing woman, the eponymous Banshee, whose sobs echo from the pitch-black coffin room, a space so unnerving that even staff refuse to enter it alone after midnight. Glasses have been known to slide off tables untouched, their contents spilling in deliberate patterns. A shadowy entity dubbed the Watcher lingers near the old stone well, its presence marked by an overwhelming sense of dread and the faint scent of decay. Paranormal investigators have captured EVPs of whispered pleas in Scots Gaelic, begging for release. Even the bar's resident cat arches its back and hisses at corners where nothing stands visible to human eyes. The Banshee Labyrinth doesn't just showcase Edinburgh's dark history, it amplifies it. Here, the past isn't just remembered, it reaches out from the damp walls to remind the living that some stories, and souls, can't be buried. 10. The Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem, Nottingham, England. Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem in Nottingham claims to be England's oldest inn, with foundations burrowed into the sandstone caves beneath Nottingham Castle since 1189. But its ancient walls don't just hold history, they trap it. Crusaders once drank here before marching to war, and some never truly left. The most famous ghost is a dusty-faced miner, forever trudging through the rock-hewn cellars with his flickering candle, his pickaxe occasionally heard chipping at walls that haven't yielded coal in centuries. Others report the apparition of a young woman in a tattered medieval dress, her skeletal fingers clutching a tankard as she stares blankly from shadowy corners, believed to be the victim of a long-forgotten plague quarantine in the caves. The Rock Lounge, carved directly into the cliff face, is a hotspot for poltergeist activity. Chairs rearrange themselves overnight, and an unseen force has been known to blow out candles in sudden gusts of icy air. Upstairs in a cursed galleon room, named for a model ship said to doom anyone who cleans it, visitors report hearing ghostly sailors' shanties, their voices rising from the floorboards like echoes from a sunken vessel. Even the pub's resident parrot once squawked in terror at an empty corner before dropping dead mid-sentence. Ye Old Trip doesn't just trade in tales of hauntings, it drowns in them. Whether it's the residual energy of Crusaders' final toasts or souls lost in the labyrinth of tunnels below, one thing's certain, this inn serves spirits in every sense. And some are far stronger than the ale.